Word nerd, wordsmith, wordy, wordless. Oxford Dictionary says a word is a single, distinct, meaningful element of speech or writing, used with others or sometimes alone. We say each one matters. No extra words is literature, minimalist style. And we're getting you right to the story.
Extra. Hello, Mom. Hey, I just thought you'd be interested to know I'm going to be in a movie. I knew it would get her attention, but she was clued into the irony that always drips from me like a leaky faucet. She was not about to do backflips or jumping jacks. Her congratulations were skeptical. Yes, it's through Kelly Girl, I admitted when she asked, accused. I'll be spending a couple of days as an extra in a synagogue scene. I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. I'm an attendant lord, one that will do to swell a progress, start a scene or two. Of course she recognized Elliot. No, I don't actually know what the movie's about, really, but I'll be playing a Jew on Yom Kippur. No, of course you don't have to be Jewish. They didn't check to see if I was circumcised. I just wear a dark suit and a white skull cap and sit in the pews with a bunch of similarly clad men. It's an Orthodox synagogue, and the women are up in the balcony. But wasn't Dad's grandmother Jewish, or was it his grandfather? Just take a seat in the pew there, one of the movie crew directed, a young guy with slicked hair and a clipboard. Rabbi Konheim, he's the character Catanzaro's playing, is going to come down the aisle with the Torah. Somebody else will actually be carrying the scrolls, shaking hands with the congregants. This scene will take all day. We'll have to shoot it several times. Just smile and nod, unless he offers his hand to shake, then shake it. Catanzaro? The guy next to me said to the guy next to him. They were here together, it looked like. Is he Jewish? The name doesn't sound Jewish. He looks Jewish, Avi, his friend replied. Don't you think he looks Jewish? Italians, Jews, Avi shrugged, and then he nudged me. You think Catanzaro looks Jewish? I shrugged back. Sure, why not? Hey, mind if I switch seats with you? I'd kind of like to shake his hand, maybe make it into the movie. I had the seat right on the aisle. Sure, why not? Sometimes it felt like my motto, like something Alfred E. Newman, the Mad Magazine guy, might say. Sure, why not? What about you? Avi's friend said, as if he were coming to my defense. I wasn't sure if he was asking me if I were Jewish. Kelly Girl, I said. What? I got this gig through a temp agency. Kelly Girl. Oh, I see. I just thought you might like to shake Catanzaro's hand when he comes by. Name's Ira, he said, sticking out his hand for a shake. Avi and our members here. We're doing this for free. Had to sign a waiver to donate our wages to the Holocaust Museum in Washington. At least we get the free lunch and the experience. Anybody know the name of the actress playing Catanzaro's wife? Quiet, everybody, the guy with the clipboard called. Scene 6, take 1. It was going to be a long day, and when Catanzaro came down the aisle, he did not shake Avi's hand. Or Ira's or mine, for that matter. And when the movie came out a few months later, I wasn't able to recognize myself in the long shot of the sea of dark suits and white yarmulkes. But my mom told me she saw the movie 3 times anyway.
Hello there, this is No Extra Words, the Flash Fiction Podcast. My name is Chris Baker-Dersch. I'm your producer and editor. Mothers are fabulous, aren't they? It really doesn't matter what kind of part you get in the play. Your mother will always see you in it 3 times. We're continuing today with our Christmas Serial 2016 edition, and it's always an interesting puzzle piece to fit stories together that go with this multi-part story. Because of the continuation of plot and so on. But I think Extra puts you in the right show businessy kind of a mood to hear the next installment of A Christmas Serial, which I'm going to bring to you right now. This is part 2 of 4 in a series. If you missed part 1, be sure to check back last week's episode for part 1. I will catch you guys next week with part 3.
Previously on
A Christmas
Serial.
I really didn't mean for it to happen this way. I mean, I didn't know what I was getting into. My name is Adam. I'm 8. I live in Centerville with my mom and my older brother, Kevin. Kevin is kind of mean sometimes. Like, he thinks I'm just a dumb kid and super gullible. Anyway, since the beginning of December, he's been telling me there's no such thing as Santa. So I finally said we should just take our mom's car and go see him. Santa, that is. I didn't actually think Kevin would agree to it. And I'm not dumb. I know you can't drive a car to see Santa. Well, something must have gone really wrong because we ended up at the North Pole. And I really don't think we're supposed to be here. The elves seem really nervous that we're around, and we're not supposed to tell anyone we're here. But I think they already know. And I kind of got caught riding a reindeer, which was a big mistake and probably didn't help. But I guess you can't get out of here unless you go by reindeer or something. So we're sort of stuck. And we don't know what's going to happen. A Christmas Serial Part 2. Stealing the Show. After the reindeer incident, Karen Claus would not let Adam leave her office on the factory's second floor. She told him to make himself useful by curling ribbons, a job every bit as boring as it sounded. After what seemed like days, she was called away. She entrusted Adam to the care of a mousy-looking elf named Estelle, and told him to stay where he was and not move. Adam curled ribbons and waited for his opportunity. A nervous-looking old lady elf waved frantically at Estelle from outside Karen's office. "The sewing machine's not sealing the toes of these stockings correctly," she called. "We are going to have candy cane pieces everywhere if someone does not fix this." Estelle rushed to the woman's side without even glancing Adam's direction. He watched her until he was sure she was not paying attention to him, then slid off the bench and crept out the nearest door as quietly as he could, eager to explore Santa's factory. The factory was a gigantic disappointment. Santa's workshop, where lots of elves worked hard to make Christmas happen, should have been the happiest place in the world. To Adam, it felt like his dad's office when a big client was visiting. Busy, hurried, and kind of tense. The fun had to be outside. He would just stay out of trouble. He carefully avoided the barn and walked toward the town. It was quiet in the middle of the day, and he wasn't really sure where to go. Elf Eats restaurant looked promising as his stomach growled and reminded him it was lunchtime, but he had no money. He was wondering what sort of money elves use when he glanced across the street and saw a large and very old building, which was half huge marble columns and half falling down. Over its giant carved wooden doors hung a banner torn down the middle, which proclaimed in scarlet letters, "Deck the Community Playhouse and Hall." Adam grinned. His dad had taken him to see the Nutcracker the previous Christmas. He was completely transfixed by the lights, the costumes, and the sets. The following spring he had landed the lead in the class play The Gingerbread Boy and had officially been bitten by the acting bug. This place he had to see. The doors were tall by elf standards, and so heavy Adam had to push with his whole body to enter. The lobby was enormous. Yellowed posters advertising elf theater productions hung from every wall. A bulletin board next to the door was covered in pushpins and red and faded letters at the top, "Coming soon to the deck." A few forlorn-looking performance announcements and a handwritten sheet titled Audition Dates hung haphazardly from it. The ticket booth next to the announcement board was empty and dark. The lobby was deserted, but excited voices came from the other side of the door leading into the theater. Without stopping for a second to consider if he was welcome, Adam swung open the far door. The theater was old-fashioned, with rows of wooden seats and walls with colored lights. The house lights above the seating area were dimmed, but the stage was fully lit. Adam sat unnoticed in the darkened theater and watched the rehearsal in progress. A flustered-looking elf, her gorgeous black hair tied in a knot to keep it from swinging into her face, was waving her clipboard, jumping up and down and shouting directions to someone in the lighting booth. On stage, dozens of tiny elves were standing on risers or milling around, many of them no taller than 3- or 4-year-old human children. Some were wearing Santa hats with jingle bells and bright costumes in 100 shades of red and green, and some were wearing jeans and fiddling with pieces of costumes trying to make them fit. Everyone was talking a mile a minute, and no one was paying a bit of attention to anyone else. Adam watched in fascination. So far he had only met grown-up elves, and Marvin, who was a grown-up even if he didn't seem like it. Of course there were kid elves who went to elf schools and had elf moms and dads, but until now he hadn't really thought about that. It looked like these kids were about to carol, or maybe put on some kind of Christmas pageant. The elf with all the hair, who seemed to be in charge, blew 2 blasts on the whistle hanging around her neck. The sound it made was more pitch pipe than referee whistle, and it had almost no impact on the noise level on the stage. Okay, she yelled at the top of her voice. Let's not worry about the costumes right now. We're really short on time, so let's just line up and start our opening song. I need my sleigh bell ringers to kick us off. A group over on stage right shook bells and recorded music played from someplace. The kids all took a step to the right in what was probably supposed to be a choreographed move and started to sing. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Boys only, yelled Elf with the hair. A few sad ho-ho-hos answered her, and as the kids continued to sing, she yelled, "Cue the sleigh!" A large and cumbersome sleigh was wheeled in from stage left. The kid who was supposed to be the one horse got in the way, and one wheel went over his foot. The singers had hit the chorus, cheerily singing jingle bells, jingle all the way, in a number of different keys. Elf with the hair's eyes were closed, and she was jamming to the music. "Girls only," she called, and the girls launched into the second verse. "A day or two ago, I thought I'd take a ride, and soon Miss Fanny Bride was seated by my side." Everybody! The sleigh rolled back and forth, the horse started breakdancing, the jingle bells hit 3 different rhythms at once, and everyone sang lustily, "We got into an open bank, and then we got upsot, upsot, jingle bells, jingle all the way." They all leaned forward and shrugged their shoulders in time to the music, or tried to. They finished with an enthusiastic, "Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey!" On the last syllable, they all froze with a hands-out gesture and leaned back on one foot. Elf with the hair jumped up and down and cheered. Adam, overcome with giggles, clapped right along with her. She whirled around, squinting in the lights, and tried to see who was in the darkened theater. "Who's there?" she called. The kids on stage looked at each other and started muttering. They had just been practicing. No one was supposed to be watching. Adam felt bad for crashing their rehearsal. He moved towards the stage so they could see him. "That was great," he called up to them. "I really liked it." "Really?" Elf with the hair grinned proudly, then shook her head. "But you shouldn't be here. Our performance isn't until tonight." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Who are you, anyway?" "I'm Adam," offered Adam, reaching out to shake her hand. "From Centerville." Elf with the hair hesitated for a moment. "You mean it's true? You really are?" "I had heard it, of course, but I didn't think—" She shook his hand, then turned to the kids on stage, gestured grandly at Adam, and announced proudly, "This is Adam from Centerville." Everyone reacted at once. Some of the kids rushed forward to see Adam up close, but a lot of them ran away from him like he was a Halloween ghost. Some of the littler girls ducked behind the risers. A couple shrieked and ran backstage. Adam chewed his lip. Marvin had been surprised to see him, but fear was a different thing altogether. He didn't want to scare anyone. "It's all right," Elf with the hair's voice was encouraging. "Really, Adam darlin', my name is Rochelle, and this," she gestured broadly, "is the deck. Do you like it? I'm in charge of drama programs here. We're getting ready to put on Pointy Ears Preschool and Little Stockings Primary School's joint Christmas concert and Winter Wonderland show. It's tonight. This is our dress rehearsal." She picked up a piece of discarded costume that had fallen onto the stage. "Well, it's supposed to be anyway. Will you come see the show? What is it, Justine? Can't you see I'm busy?" One of the little girls had crept up behind her and was tugging on her sleeve. "Cousin Roshi, he can't come," said the little girl, shaking her head gravely. "Teacher Patty won't like it. You guys," she called to her classmates, "won't Teacher Patty hate it if he comes to see us tonight?" The kids mumbled in agreement. Teacher Patty taught Little Stockings Primary School's youngest students. She would absolutely hate it if a human came to see the show. She had sent Justine in from Funtime that very day just for suggesting there might be humans in Christmastown. It would definitely be a bad idea for Adam to come. The little heads poking out from behind the risers nodded in agreement. A very bad idea. Rochelle bit her lip and tried to keep her opinions about Teacher Patty to herself. "Well, anyway, we've got 2 more numbers to rehearse before you guys go back to school, and we don't have much time. After Jingle Bells, we have to get the sleigh off stage and then get Santa hats on before the music. Oh, for heaven's sake, Justine, what is it?" Justine was waving her hand right in Rochelle's face. "We can't, Cousin Roshi, we just can't. We have to get the sleigh off stage really fast, and it's big and that's hard. We hurry a lot, and last time Bryson ran over my foot," she pouted. "It hurt." "Justine." "Honey." Rochelle took a deep breath. "If we had something to cover the in-between time, we could move slower, but we don't, so we're just going to have to do the best we can." "Why doesn't someone sing a solo?" Adam asked. Rochelle and the kids turned to stare at him as though they had completely forgotten he was there. "A what?" asked Rochelle. "A solo. Someone singing by themselves." Rochelle looked blank. Elves never sang alone. Adam walked to center stage, kicked a Santa hat out of the way, looked up into the lights, and sang in a clear, sweet voice. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. He turned back to Rochelle and the kids, who had all moved downstage and were staring at him. "What was that?" asked Rochelle, awed. Adam was incredulous. "You've never heard Silent Night?" "I've heard Santa songs, 'You'd Better Watch Out' and all that," said Rochelle, "but I've never heard anything like that." "It's one of our best-known Christmas carols at home. Everybody knows Christmas carols." "I think," said Rochelle slowly, "that you should sing that song, just like that, in between Jingle Bells and Deck the Halls tonight. We'll have a real Christmas concert, with old and new songs from Christmastown and a Christmas carol all the way from Centerville." Adam nodded eagerly. The kids looked at each other and shrugged. Teacher Patty would not be happy about this. Santa's Christmas trip is an epic journey. He has believers on all 7 continents and in over 150 countries. He has to get packages of all sizes into homes in all locations, cities, suburbs, farms, and of all types, 2-story, log cabins, yurts. He has 24 hours to do it, and the time zones are crucial, as is the time continuum created by his elves to ensure safe passage. He has to maintain a team of unpredictable reindeer, who are ultimately just animals. And for his and his elves' safety, this must all be done in secret. The hardest part of this process isn't the timing, or the reindeer, or the flying, or the fancy footwork on roofs. It isn't elf management, although Santa was gaining new appreciation this Christmas for how hard elves can be to supervise. It isn't even the secret-keeping, which comes naturally to elves. It's the packing. Even with all the magic at the elves' disposal, getting a Christmas's worth of toys into one sleigh for one man to deliver in one day is a very tall order, and everything has to be planned to the last spinning top. For weeks before Christmas, reindeer leave with shipments of things that can be delivered early. Drop-offs at community centers and hospitals and thrift stores so tired parents find the gift they thought they could never afford. The shipments for delivery on Christmas Eve are meticulously organized, and in the days leading up to the big day, the Transportation Committee was meeting at least once a day to make sure everything was on track. This was back when things were going well. This was before the capacity of the sleigh had to be increased to accommodate 2 stowaway boys who were getting a Christmas Eve ride home to Centerville. "We're going to have to increase some of the reindeer shipments in the next few hours," said Santa, examining the list. "Do you have seasonal help down in the barn, Mari?" "Got an intern. Some kid from the college." "What kid?" asked Alexander. "Name's Marvin." Alexander let out a strangled cough. Santa looked up at him. "What's wrong with Marvin?" "He tries hard," stammered Alexander. He glanced at Mari, who said nothing. "He's an imbecile," snapped Gerald, "but he isn't our biggest problem. I don't understand what those 2 boys are still doing here. They should be priority 1 for early shipment." "How can you say that?" asked Alexander. "Your job is security. Don't you understand that we can't just pack them onto a reindeer's back and send them to some transition point on their own? They have to go home supervised, and the only way to do that is if they go home Christmas Eve." "And who is going to ensure that they don't wreak havoc in the meantime? The little one can't stay out of trouble. I heard he was caught riding a reindeer and has been seen multiple times wandering unsupervised through Christmastown. And the big one is far too old to really believe in us. You may not have been around long enough to know this, but disbelief can be a dangerous thing. People who don't believe in us aren't afraid to—" "What?" Gerald realized that Santa, Mari, and Alexander were all looking at each other. "Well," said Alexander innocently, "you are the director of security." "And communications," added Santa. "This falls under both, don't you think?" "Definitely," nodded Alexander. Coming up next week on A Christmas Serial. Furious at being put in charge of the invaders, Gerald meets someone who understands him and comes up with a plan. The show must go on, but will Christmas? Can Adam and Kevin and a new friend of theirs get this holiday back on track? Or will Gerald regain the power he thought he once had? Tune in next week to the third installment of A Christmas Serial here on the No Extra Words podcast.